Hey, what's up everyone? Tajuk85 here, and today I'm going to be talking about Episode 8 of Book 4 of Legend of Korra, titled Beyond the Wilds. Now, for anyone who's seen a sneak peek clip on the internet on this, sees that the opening sequence has to do with the spirit vines, which shouldn't be all that surprised that you see them upset, especially after Kuvira's army is seen chopping down the big old banyan grove tree with all the spirit vines and that. And for those of you that haven't, the opening sequence in that shows Ryu, who is that stubborn guy that was in the Earth Kingdom that Korra was trying to recruit for the Airbending Academy, but didn't, and his mother tried to get him into it and couldn't. But here he ended up becoming an airbender, and now he's responsible for being the guide throughout Republic City, showing everybody in that, like all the spirit vines and that. And what ended up happening was that he and everybody else that was on the tour got captured by the spirit vines. Needless to say, the spirits in the spirit mines are being restless and that from the Kuvira trying to harness the spirit energy in order to create her super weapon and that she hopefully she can harness in that so she can tighten her grip on the Earth Empire. And speaking of which, we see Korra in that in the beginning of the episode with Opal and that, and you see Opal's all bothered and that, and Korra asks her why, and Opal says it doesn't seem like anybody's really caring about trying to get her family and that, who's been captured by Kuvira and that, especially after Korra's defeat at Zaofu. And you can see she's getting really frustrated, which I have to admit, I really like Opal's character. In book 3, when we first met her and that, I didn't know what to really think about her at first. I mean, I liked her, but I thought she was gonna be another one of these characters which they get introduced in that and they get kind of like pushed to the side and that, just pretty much a filler character. But I think she's grown into a pretty strong character, especially from the get-go in the beginning of book 4 and that you see that her and Kai was, since they're airbenders, they're out and about and trying to bring balance in that throughout the world and that, and I really think that she's becoming a pretty strong character. And I really hope that they give her some more screen time between now and the end of the series and that. So, but her and Korra end up going to Republic City and that, where they end up interrupting this meeting at the Republic City, which President Reiko is with Tenzin, Lin, Fire Lord Izumi, and Prince Wu, and all of them are discussing what course of action to take on Kuvira. Of course, Prince Wu, being the person that he is, he tries to bring a little bit of comic relief into the situation and that. And, of course, nobody really found it all that amusing, but, yeah, I thought it was interesting because, here, President Reiko wants immediate action against Kuvira, immediate military action where they go on the offensive, which Lin supports him, but Tenzin and Fire Lord Izumi ended up not going with the president on this one. Especially Fire Lord Izumi, and I really got intrigued by what she said. For her being Fire Lord, she goes, in the order of course I'm paraphrasing, but she pretty much tells President Reiko that the Fire Nation has pretty much spent most of its history being involved in wars and that, and all this fighting and that, and she doesn't really want the Fire Nation to be plunged into another conflict, especially one of a global magnitude and that. So, needless to say, because of Fire Lord Izumi's and Tenzin's refusal to go along with President Reiko on this, his plan didn't go to fruition in that, and they're pretty much going to be going on the defensive now and making sure that the Republic City is going to be all fortified in that. And not only did Korra and Opal go to the meeting in that, but Varric and Bolin managed to make it to Republic City as well, which President Reiko was ready to throw them out, and of course Bolin tells them that they have top secret information because they defected from Kuvira's army. and that's when the council decides to let them speak, which Bolin pretty much gets the point right away, but again, like Prince Wu, he pretty much does it in a comic relief type of way. So here they're kind of telling them that Kuvira is making a secret super weapon, which Korra intervenes by saying that the Kuvira is harnessing the spirit vine energy, and to Varric's amazement, and he's like, "Well, how did you know that?" And that's when Korra proceeded to tell them that she could feel these energy from the spirits and that, and she could feel that the mecha tanks and that are tearing down the spirit vines and that, and here they that's when they decide what course of action to take, which of course President Mako didn't get his way in that, but here what he ended up doing, since here he didn't get his way in the meeting, and he calls on Varric and Asami to team up once again. But which I think is pretty funny. Of course, Varric and Asami have pretty much had a rocky working relationship as it is, and here Asami, knowing what he did in the past and knowing that President Raiko really needs hers and Varric's help, she does agree to help out in any way that they can to try to outwit Kuvira and that. And I thought that was a funny scene in that. Varric reaches over to shake Asami's hand, and here Asami grabs his hand alright, but she ends up doing this hold on his hand, making him pretty much wince in that. There's some kind of hold on it, which I thought it was pretty fun. I'm like, oh, that was awesome. So it's funny. That's pretty much all we get to see about Asami in this episode. But I really like that part, just simply because we get to see that just because she's a non-bender doesn't mean that she screws around. So but going back to Korra and that, she goes to Republic City to try to help out, and I really feel for Korra in this episode because throughout the entire episode, she's getting the impression that no one can trust her to do simple things anymore because of her defeat at the hands of Kuvira, and you can really tell that she's starting to get really frustrated in that. And she even got a little upset with Tenzin because Tenzin pretty much told her to step aside in that. Well, not in those words, but he says that he pretty much wants her to relax in that and handle things, to which Korra kind of scolds Tenzin and like, wait a minute, you don't think that I'm capable of anything either? And which the reason why Tenzin wants to take action is because when Janora was trying to find out what happened to Ryu and the tour, she ends up getting captured too, and Korra wanted to help out. And then Tenzin here, it's not necessarily that he didn't think Korra could do it, but he just didn't want the same thing happen to Korra as what he did with Janora. And here Korra ends up convincing Tenzin to meet Zahir, which Tenzin is tells her that he is in a mountain prison somewhere, and she convinces him to let her see him because of her still having the hallucinations, even though she got all the poison out. And she feels that if she sees him in captivity and sees that he's no longer a threat, that she'll snap out of whatever funk that she's in. So Tenzin agrees to get the clearance and that, and here Korra ends up visiting Zahir, which he's pretty much in a prison, much like he and his gang were pretty much in at the beginning of book 3, and he looks pretty much the same as what he did at the very beginning of book 3 with the long hair and beard and that, and it's kind of, I gotta admit, it was kind of weird seeing him like that again, and it's also weird seeing him in such a vulnerable position, so to speak, you know. And we see him floating in it, which of course he has the ability to fly, but he's in chains right now, so he really can't go anywhere. So Korra ends up talking to him, and here she tries to tell him that she isn't afraid of him anymore. And so he kind of lunges at her, and she gets kind of taken aback, and Zahir mocks her, saying that she still has fear for him and that, and that's when Korra proceeds to tell him exactly why she's there, and come to find out that Zahir, even though he's in captivity, he is attuned to the spirit world. He's able to meditate in the spirit world, which Korra asks him how exactly he's doing it, and here she brings up being in the public city and not being able to connect with the spirit world, in which I gotta be a bit surprised with Zahir in this episode, because even though he did try to kill her, he was really helpful to her here, and he proceeds to tell her that Republic City is where she would be most attuned to the spirit world and that, and he also ends up telling Korra that because Korra ends up telling him that she feels that her powers are limited, which Zahir ends up telling her the opposite, saying that she has unlimited power. It's just she's holding herself back, and this causes Korra to get upset, and she asks him exactly how he feels that she's keeping herself back, and here he ends up agreeing to help her get to the spirit world and that, and of course, both of them meditate, and when Korra enters the spirit world, we get to see her once again in the battle with Zahir and that, and we get to the part where he forms that airbending bubble around her head, ready to suffocate her, and she's about ready to pull out, and Zahir tells her to let the scene play out. And Korra kept on saying, I can't, I can't. And then he kept on telling her to be strong and that, and eventually Korra and Zahir end up being with each other in the spirit world, and Korra kind of thanks Zahir for getting her past that block, so to speak, and here Zahir ends up proceeding to tell her exactly where to find Janora and Ryu and all the people that got captured by the spirit vines. So, and while this, Korra ends up reconnecting with Rava more than she ever had before her battle with Zahir, in which Rava ends up telling Korra that she has been with Korra all along, but because of Korra's inability to enter the Avatar state, and her inability to shake off all her prior trials with Zahir and her foes, that she hasn't quite formed that connection, but we're using her spirit energy and that Rava tells her that she has, especially since it's the strongest in the spirit world, actually stronger than in the human world. She is able to not only find Janora in them, but she's able to free them, which I have to admit that seeing them, even before Korra got to see Zahir and that, we got to see everybody that was captured in these green balls and that. I thought this part was kind of creepy, to be honest with you, you know. And I know this is a kid's show and that, but, you know, it kind of reminds me of, like, in a weird way, kind of like people getting cocooned in the Alien movies, or even more so, if you ever watched the movie Van Helsing, you see Dracula's babies and that, and their cocoons and that. You see all the babies and the egg sacs and that. I thought there was kind of like an eerie feel to it, but, needless to say, Korra ends up redeeming herself in a way that she was able to get everybody out of the spirit world and that. So, and not only did Korra redeem herself, but Bolin, he's on a quest to redeem himself in Opal's eyes, which she ends up telling him at the end of the episode that she can help he can help redeem himself by helping her and Lin rescue her family in Zaofu, which we get to see Bolin try to hook up with Opal again, and of course to no avail, because she keeps on bringing up how he chose Kuvira over her family and that, and Bolin's got his work cut out for him, but needless to say, Opal was very right in her being angry with Bolin and that, so he's gonna have his work cut out for him trying to get on Opal's good side and that, and it's gonna be interesting to see how exactly he does that, and how exactly Korra is gonna end up using her newfound confidence in that to stop the Kuvira conflict and that. So But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens in the new episode, and and of course, with Team Avatar pretty much back together again, with Bolin coming back to Republic City with Korra, Mako, and Asami, and they'll be a unit again. So, but yeah, we really get we can really tell that we're really at the end of the series, and for those of you who don't know, the series finale is going to be December 19th, which is 3 weeks from now. So that means that it's probably going to be 2 more weeks of one episodes, and then if I have to guess, the finale is going to be a two-parter and that. So it's going to be ending right before Christmas and that. So and and that's what I really liked about this particular episode, is that we get to see a little bit more of the character development a little more. You know, we see Bolin, like I said a few minutes ago, trying to reconcile his relationship with him and Opal and that, and and the one part I thought that was kind of cute was when he sent Pabu to Opal with a note tied to his neck and that, saying that both his legs were broken, which, needless to say, I have to find out that Bolin was okay and had a picnic out. Opal wasn't too pleased in that, but it's nice to see that Bolin is at least trying in that. And like I said before, I don't blame Opal for being upset with him one bit, because I think if I was in her shoes, I'd be a little bit ticked off too. So, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what Team Avatar does. I know Asami's gonna be working with Varric to try to counteract with Kuvira's technology quest with harnessing the spirit vine energy in that, and of course, Korra, now that she has a newfound confidence in that, it's gonna be interesting to see where exactly they go in that, whether they're gonna be going in the swamp or not, which, if I have to guess, that probably is where at least Korra is gonna go, because that's where all the disruption of the spirit energy is, with the Kuvira's army cutting down the banyan grove tree and that. And before I end this video, I should say, on a personal note, you know, I really hope that the rumors on the internet aren't true, and that Toph isn't gonna be killed either at the finale or before the finale, because I'm just gonna be crushed if that does end up happening. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens there, and that's pretty much it I have to say on this episode. So thank you for watching this, and I will see you again next time.